Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Welcome you all in a new lecture of Bioenergetics and Carbohydrates Metabolism MCQs. In this lecture, we will discuss the most important 100 MCQs on bioenergetics, carbohydrates, and the metabolism of carbohydrates. MCQs number one of this lecture is glycogen has which type of bond? So it has alpha 1,4 and alpha 1,6 linkage. The function of gluconeogenesis is maintain blood glucose level during starvation or a low carbohydrate diet, recovery of lactate from the fermentation and glycerol from fat breakdown, a pathway for utilization of amino acids. So all of the above are the function of the gluconeogenesis. What is the consensus N glycosylation site in protein sequence? So it is the ASN or XAA, serine or the threonine. The process not involved in the formation of the glucose by gluconeogenesis. So it is the conversion of oxaloacetate to glucose. It is not involved in the formation of glucose by gluconeogenesis. How many steps are catalyzed by the same enzyme in both glycolysis and gluconeogenesis? So there are 7 steps that are catalyzed by the same enzymes in glycolysis and the gluconeogenesis. Which of the following is not an important precursor of glucose in animals? Glucose 6-phosphate. Which class of carbohydrate is considered as a non-sugar? The polysaccharides are considered as a non-sugars. A molecule of amylopectin which contains 1500 glucose residues and is branched after every 30 residue. How many reducing ends are there? There are 1 reducing end. What is the name of drug which inhibits sodium potassium pump across the cell membrane? So it is the ovabane. Which of the following amino sugar are present in the bacterial cell wall? So it is N-acetylmuramic acid. Molecule of glucose forms how much molecules of pyruvate? The 1 molecule of glucose forms 2 molecules of pyruvate. The main pathway of metabolism in brain are glycolysis and citric acid cycle. Sites where hexose monophosphate shunt can occur include all of the above: liver, WBCs, lactating mammary gland, and the testes as well. Steps in the HMP pathway requiring TPP. So it is the transketolase. Which of the following act as a storage form of high energy phosphate? It was the question of 2022. So it is the phosphogene. So phosphogene is the storage form of high energy phosphate. What is the standard free energy change of ATP? So it is large and negative. Large and negative is the standard free energy change of ATP. Which of the following is not formed during the tricarboxylic acid cycle? So lactate will never form in the tricarboxylic acid cycle. FAD is reduced in which of the reaction of TCA cycle? So it is reduced in the succinate to fumarate. Products of glucose oxidation essential for oxidative-phosphorylation are NADH and FADH2. Which of the following glycosidic linkage found in maltose? So maltose has glucose alpha 1,4 glucose. क्योंकि maltose ग्लूकोज और ग्लूकोज से मिलकर बनता है तो इसमें 2 ग्लूकोज यूनिटों की और लिंकेज क्या होगी अल्फा 1,4. Which of the following is also known as invert sugar? Sucrose is known as the invert sugar. Mark the incorrect statement about the sugar alcohol. Terminal OH group oxidizes. It is incorrect about the sugar alcohol. Name the major storage form of carbohydrates in animal. It is the glycogen. Prior to being transferred to oxygen, the last site of electrons in the electron transport chain is the cytochrome oxidase complex. Where does oxidative phosphorylation takes place? So oxidative phosphorylation takes place in the mitochondria. The key enzyme of gluconeogenesis is pyruvate carboxylase. Humans are unable to digest cellulose because human lack cellulase enzyme. During oxidative phosphorylation, the proton motive force that is generated by electron transport use used to induce a conformational change in the ATP synthase. The reaction in the citric acid cycle is not reversible. So this citrate synthase is not reversible. Acetyl coenzyme A is react in the citric acid cycle, while NADH and FADH are products. FADH2 are products. If 12 molecules of NADH are produced over a period of time, how many FADH2 molecules are produced during this period? So there are only 4 molecules of FADH produced. The entry of pyruvate into the TCS cycle, tricarboxylic acid cycle, and citric acid cycle is inhibited by the presence of high cellular concentration of the ATP. The Golgi complex form glycoproteins. Fructose is metabolized by both A and B, fructose 1 phosphate pathway and the fructose 6 phosphate pathway. A common way that cells capture the energy released during the breakdown of large molecules is to add electrons to smaller specialized molecules that can accept them. This process of electron acceptance is otherwise known as the reduction. The process in which electrons are accepted, this process is called the reduction. Gain of electron is called the reduction. How many ATP equivalents per mole of glucose input are required for gluconeogenesis? So 6 ATP equivalents per mole of glucose input required for gluconeogenesis. Which of the following compound is responsible for coordinated regulation of glucose and glycogen metabolism? तो fructose 2,6 biphosphate. Which of the following is a monosaccharide? तो इनमें से कौन सा monosaccharide है? तो fructose is a monosaccharide, starch is polysaccharide, sucrose और maltase are the disaccharide. Which of the following is the abnormal constituent of urine? तो glucose is an abnormal constituent of urine. Cane sugar is a sucrose. Cane sugar is called the sucrose is also called the cane sugar. In TCA, substrate level phosphorylation takes place in succinyl coenzyme A to succinate. Gluconeogenesis requires a higher amount of ATP equivalents as compared to that produced by the glycolysis because glycolysis releases energy as heat. Which of the following is carried out when cyclic AMP function as a second messenger? Activates the cyclic AMP dependent protein kinase. All of the following are substrates for gluconeogenesis except oleic acid is not the substrate for gluconeogenesis. During conversion of glycerol to pyruvic acid, the first glycolytic intermediate to form dihydroxyacetone phosphate. The production of or breakdown of which is often coupled with the metabolic reaction of biosynthesis and catabolism. So it is the ATP. The cells dependent solely on glucose as energy source are the brain cell. Enzymes concerned with the citric acid cycle are found in the mitochondria. The main site of gluconeogenesis is the liver. In glycolysis, ATP is produced by the following enzymes: phosphoglycerate kinase. Inhibition of glycolysis by oxygen is known as the Pasteur effect. Which of the following biomolecules simply refer to the staff of life? So carbohydrates are considered as the staff of life. Which of the following is simplest form of carbohydrates? Aldehyde and ketone groups are the simplest form of the carbohydrates. Krebs cycle does not occur in the red blood cells because red blood cell has no mitochondria. Renal threshold for glucose is 180 mg per deciliter. Which of the following statement about the energy needs of cell is false? The most usable energy for cells come from the rapid combustion of glucose. It is not true. In lysozyme catalysis, which of the following does not contribute? Formation of covalent intermediate at serine 195 is not contributed during the lysozyme catalysis. MCQs number 58 is glucose can be synthesized from all except It is not synthesized from the acetoacetate. In TCS cycle are the tricarboxylic acid cycle, which is first formed. Citrate is the first product of the TCS cycle. Which of the following monosaccharide is the majority found in the human body? So mainly these are the D type monosaccharides. Which of the following is the most abundant biomolecules on Earth? So carbohydrates are the most abundant biomolecules on the Earth. इन लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म की बात करें तो उनमें फिर प्रोटीन्स ज्यादा होंगी. Cellulose fibers resemble with the protein structure in the form of the beta sheets. During vigorous exercise, pyruvate produced by glycolysis is converted into the lactate. Increase in pyruvate and lactate is seen in which of the following deficiency? Thiamine deficiency. Glucagon and epinephrine stimulates gluconeogenesis and inhibits glycolysis. Which of the following is smallest carbohydrate triose? Glyceraldehyde is the smallest carbohydrate triose. Which of the following is reducing sugar? All of the above are the reducing sugar. The tissue which with the highest glycogen content is the liver. Major contribution towards the gluconeogenesis is by the lactate. Glycogen breakdown leads to the formation of glucose and lactic acid, which is not an ओलिगोसैकेराइड शुगर. तो इनमें से जो ग्लेक्टोज है ये ओलिगोसैकेराइड नहीं, ये मोनोसैकेराइड है. लैक्टोज, माल्टोज, सैकरोज आर डाइसैकेराइड. The NAC6 substrate is hydrolyzed by human lysozyme to form NAC4 plus NAC2. Gluconeogenesis uses 4 ATP and 2 GTPs per glucose. 4 ATPs and 2 GTPs are used for the synthesis of one glucose molecule. Saliva contains all of the following except to saliva contain amylase, bacteria killing enzyme, antibodies. Saliva has no hormones. Gluconeogenesis is the synthesis of glucose from non-carbohydrate precursors. One molecule of acetyl coenzyme A give rise to how much ATP molecule? So it is 12 ATP molecules. The conversion of pyruvate to oxaloacetate requires biotin. Which of the following is an example of epimer? Glucose and galactose are an example of are examples of glucose and galactose are example of epimers. Which of the following has reducing properties? Glucuronic acid has reducing properties. All of these reaction takes place inside the mitochondria except EMP pathway that is also called Embden-Mayerhof pathway. It is called the glycolysis. The glycolysis occur in the cytosol of the cell. Mcardle's disease is due to deficiency of myophosphorylase. What is the site for gluconeogenesis? So gluconeogenesis is mainly occur in the liver. Repeated question है. Name the enzyme which is responsible for the conversion of pyruvate to phosphoenol pyruvate. So it is pyruvate carboxylase. Which of the following is not the precursor of gluconeogenesis? Lysine and leucine are not the precursor of gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis is also carried out in muscles and brain. No. It is occur in the liver. What is the taurinose? So taurinose is the reducing disaccharide of glucose and the fructose. Which of the following does not have sulfuric acid group? Hyaluronic acid has no sulfuric acid groups. Which of the following are the major sites for glycogen storage? Muscles and liver are the major sites for glycogen storage. The priming function in glycogen synthesis is carried out by option glycogenine is the primary function for in glycogen synthesis is mainly carried out by the glycogenine. Hydrolysis of the lactose yields glucose and the galactose and glucose. Two major products of pentose phosphate pathway are nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide and ribose 5-phosphate. Digitonine is a glycoside. Which of the following is the simplest carbohydrate? Glyceraldehyde is the simplest carbohydrate. A catabolic intermediate which simulates phosphofructokinase kinase would stimulate glycolysis. Both and chair conformation are found in pyranose rings, a pyranose sugar. Which of the following is a precursor of glycogen? UDP glucose is a precursor of the glycogen synthesis. Pyruvate is initially converted to which of the following in the gluconeogenesis? To oxaloacetate. The conversion of pyruvate to lactate is catalyzed by lactate dehydrogenase. Which of the following can act as a precursor for gluconeogenesis? All of the above, lactate, glycerol, and alanine act as precursor for gluconeogenesis. Which of the following statement is false regarding glycogenesis? Glycogenesis के लिए option number A is correct. तो glycogen synthase is activated in the phosphorylated state. So it is false. Thank you so much. This is the lecture about the bioenergetics and the metabolism of the carbohydrates. In next lecture, we will discuss more MCQs on the metabolism of carbohydrates.